other psychoactive substances like nicotine, cannabis, opioids, cocaine, and volatile substances. Okay, so whatever I'm going to talk about, at least a bit of whatever I'm going to talk about. So if you know something, you respond. Okay, let it be wrong, don't worry. Okay, so no one is going to question you, no one is going to blame you. So if you know something, you try to respond. Okay, so first psychoactive substance that we are going to talk about today is nicotine. Okay, so definitely other than alcohol, apart from alcohol, nicotine is the first or second most common psychoactive substance to be abused. Yeah, we all know that there are different ways of intake of tobacco. The most common method is smoking, and second way of intake of tobacco is chewing tobacco. Okay, we get the gutkas and pan masalas and all. Okay, so not all pan masalas are contain tobacco. So there are a few things which still contain tobacco, which they keep near at the gum, and then they keep slowly chewing it. Okay, so these are the two common ways of the intake of tobacco. Then as we talked about alcohol, we'll talk about withdrawal and intoxication for every substance that we are going to talk about. Yeah, so as we have already discussed, nicotine is the first or second most common substance which is used along with alcohol, and combined use of alcohol and nicotine is much more common. There are so many people who smoke only when they take alcohol, okay, or else they don't take. So combined use is also very common. So we need to know what are the withdrawal symptoms of nicotine use. So if any individual is smoking regularly or chewing tobacco every day, and all of a sudden he stops taking that, what are the common withdrawal symptoms? You tell me what are the withdrawal symptoms? You must be having your friends or one of your family members or relatives, someone who is smoking, right? So when you ask them, what do they tell you? If you don't smoke, what happens? If you ask them, what do they tell you?
For chewers, toothache.
Yes, for chewers,
Toothache.
toothache. Okay, nice. Then so people get relieved of toothache if they keep using it. Yes, then it exactly is not relieving the toothache. It is an irritant. Okay, it's like Zandubam or Vicks we use. Okay, so if there is headache, once they apply any irritant substance like Zandubam or any menthol containing substance, so it irritates the skin more, and that's the reason why they perceive the headache to be less. Okay, so that's the reason why people use those balms other than diclofenac uh, for the headache, and that's the reason why people chew tobacco also. So for toothache, if you take more irritating substance in the stomach, obviously toothache will get reduced. They perceive it to be less. That's the reason why they take it. Yeah. Apart from that, people complain of irritability if they don't smoke. Okay. So that's the most common withdrawal symptom. Apart from that, they won't be able to concentrate. That is one thing. Second thing. Okay. Then apart from those things, people also complain of insomnia. They don't get sleep. Along with these three, there are so many patients who complain of constipation if they don't chew tobacco or smoke before they go to the washroom early in the morning. Okay, so people become so dependent on smoking or chewing tobacco that they have constipation if they don't smoke or if they don't chew tobacco. These are all the common withdrawal symptoms of nicotine use. How do we treat it? There are so many patients who come for nicotine de-addiction also. So the treatment is called as nicotine replacement therapy. Okay, so in this nicotine replacement therapy, what exactly is meant by this is whenever they smoke a cigarette or whenever they chew tobacco, it's not the nicotine that is causing harm. The harmful substances like tar, other chemicals which are there in either a cigarette or in the tobacco that they chew, it is because of them that they experience cancers or other complications. So nicotine is not harmful. So what we can do is nicotine can be replaced instead of smoking or instead of chewing tobacco. Okay, so nicotine comes in two forms: nicotine gums and nicotine patches. I think you have seen so many number of times about this advertisement, right? Nicotex gums and all in the television. Yes.
Yes,
Have you
sir.
seen? Yeah, you have seen so many number of times about Nicotex gums. The problem with this is they don't know how to use. Okay, actually, what should be done is Nicotex gums should be chewed, and then the juice and then the juice that they get should be spit out. What they do is they chew and then they swallow the juice that they get. Okay, so that's the reason why they complain of extreme headache, gastritis, vomiting sensation once they use this Nicotex gums. Okay, so there is they don't know how to properly use the gum. That is one thing about the Nicotex gums. Second thing is patches, Nicotex patches or tobacco nil patches. These are basically transdermal patches. Okay, so those people who have the habit of smoking at least 10 to 20 cigarettes every day, for example, if they want to go to an exam or attend a meeting which lasts for about 2 to 3 hours, this is the best way to get rid of smoking. Okay, so tobacco nil patches, they are available as 21, 14, and 7 milligram patches. So they can fix the tobacco nil patch or Nicotex patch over the shoulder, and then which lasts for at least a period of 24 hours. So they can replace the patch after 24 hours. So these are the two common ways of getting rid of smoking. Okay, Nicotex patches and Nicotex gum or gums. Okay, these are the two ways. There is another drug also called as varenicline. This is a PG entrance question. You need to remember. Varenicline is used for smoking de-addiction. Okay, that is alpha 4 beta 2 inhibitor, which is used to reduce the craving for smoking. Okay, the drug name is varenicline. VARNECLINE. Varenicline. Okay, right. So this is how we treat those patients who come for nicotine de-addiction. Well, second substance is cannabis. We usually don't see the plants of cannabis everywhere, but this is how a cannabis plant looks like. So what the most common way of cannabis use is they dry up the leaves, they make it powder, they roll it into a cigarette bud, and then they smoke it. That's the most common way in which cannabis is taken. So cannabis is obtained from a plant called as Cannabis sativa. That's how it looks like. So the common names for cannabis are grass, hash, and marijuana. These are the common names which people use to obtain cannabis. Somehow from the past 3-4 years, every week at least 1 to 2 children who are there in 9th and 10th classes, they are coming for ganja de-addiction or cannabis usage. Okay, so it has become so rampantly available that it is available in almost every college, and in fact in every school also. Hi-fi schools, cannabis is very easily available. Okay, so somehow there are so many students who are taking cannabis these days. Again, this is your PG entrance question. The active component of cannabis is delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. This is the active component in cannabis, and whatever the psychological effects and physical effects of cannabis are always secondary to this active compound of cannabis called as delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. You have to remember this. This is your PG entrance question. Well, intoxication. So if an individual starts taking cannabis, what exactly he feels? The first and most common reason why people take cannabis is it causes some amount of euphoria. Euphoria is a bit of happy mood and elated mood. That is what is called as euphoria. Okay, Can you name any drug, any other medical drug which causes euphoria? Any other drug which causes euphoria? Okay, steroids. Okay, steroids also cause euphoria. You know, this is the reason why RMPs are much more successful when compared to MBBS and postgraduate doctors as far as treatment of of rural patients are concerned. Okay, so once they go to an RMP, the first drug they give is either dexamethasone or prednisolone. Okay, so it causes some amount of euphoria and it causes also immediate pain relief to the patient. So that's the reason why whenever a patient comes to you, they typically say that our rural doctor has given, our RMP has given a single injection with which I felt very better. You have been treating us for the past 5 days or 6 days, nothing has come down. Okay, this is a very common complaint once you start practicing. Okay, so they give steroids. Okay, so steroids are one of the drugs which causes euphoria. So along with steroids, even cannabis causes euphoria. Along with euphoria, cannabis intoxication also causes tachycardia, lacrimation, reddened conjunctiva. Okay, these are all the common symptoms of cannabis intoxication. And along with that, they have highly increased appetite. They eat like anything. Okay, whatever that is available, they eat away. Okay, so this is also a symptom of cannabis intoxication. So they have euphoria, tachycardia, lacrimation, reddened conjunctiva, and increased appetite. Well, they also experience something called as synesthesia. Synesthesia, you have to remember this term. Synesthesia is there is stimulus in one sensory modality and the perception is in some other sensory modality. For example, what we do, we usually see colors, right? So they complain of hearing colors. Okay, so if they see a blue color, immediately they start experiencing a hallucination that a pleasant music or something like that. Okay, once they happen to see a red color, there is a terrifying sound in their ear. So perception and stimulus in different sensory modalities is called as synesthesia. Okay, so whenever they see a letter called as B, they see it in orange color or blue color. Okay, so that's how they perceive things. So that is what is synesthesia, and they have increased sensitivity to everything. Okay, they enjoy music very well. They enjoy songs very well. They see brightened colors everywhere. Okay, so that sense of euphoria, that sense of increased sensitivity, it makes them crave for cannabis again and again. Okay, so these are all the symptoms of cannabis intoxication. The complications. It is really practically very tough to treat cannabis dependence because uh, most of them they don't know that most of them they know that it is not going to cause any amount of liver damage. So it's at least a significant liver damage. So at least for alcohol we can tell them that it is going to impair your liver and all. But as far as cannabis is concerned, they know what are all the side effects of cannabis use, and then people are a bit reluctant to get rid of this cannabis. So we need to know what are all the complications cannabis can cause. As smoking can cause lung cancer, even cannabis has got a propensity to cause lung cancers. And apart from that, as far as psychiatric complications are concerned, most of the cannabis, not most, a significant amount of cannabis users, they experience a transient psychotic disorder during cannabis intoxication. Okay, you see so many every day in the news. At least you see so many number of accidents of young people, right? So most of the young people they commit accidents or they experience accidents secondary to cannabis use. Okay, so it can happen secondary to cannabis intoxication, which may be secondary to transient psychotic disorder. So in this transient psychotic disorder, people start experiencing hallucinations and delusions. Now you know what are hallucinations and delusions, right? I think in last class we talked about hallucination. So perception without a sensory stimulus is a hallucination. Okay, so during this cannabis intoxication, people might have hallucinations. Okay, so that's the reason why they occasionally they commit crimes, they get into accidents and all. That is what is one of the complications. There is something called as a motivation syndrome. This is a 4 marks question for you and also a PG entrance question for you. So you need to know what exactly is a motivation syndrome secondary to cannabis use. So after intoxication, after taking cannabis in the night, the next day morning, people feel extremely lethargic. They don't feel like doing anything. They look like zombies. Okay, so occasionally we tend to see people who are absolutely not bothered about the surrounding circumstances. They keep walking in the corridors. Okay, so that is what is called as amotivation syndrome secondary to cannabis use. Okay, it happens after intoxication where people are reluctant to do anything and anything. They have significant apathy. They don't have any motivation to do anything. They just sit quiet. They won't be able to concentrate on anything. They just sit like that, like zombies. Okay, that is what is called as amotivation syndrome. Okay, it comes down once the cannabis, that effect of cannabis has come down. That is what is called as amotivation syndrome. Yeah, there is another terminology called as cannabis psychosis or hemp insanity. So those people who are genetically prone for schizophrenia, if they take cannabis, within first shot of cannabis or second shot of cannabis, people turn out to be completely psychotic, or they may turn out to be schizophrenic after 1 or 2 doses of cannabis use. That is what is called as cannabis psychosis or hemp insanity. We need to understand that it is a bit different from transient psychotic disorder, in a way that transient psychotic disorder, it lasts for a few days or few months and then it subsides. But as far as cannabis psychosis or hemp insanity is concerned, which predisposes schizophrenia, we have to use medication for at least 2 to 3 years. Even at that point of time, we are not very sure that we can remove antipsychotics and then the person will get rid of this cannabis psychosis or hemp insanity. Okay, so it may lead to permanent psychosis. These yet another complication of cannabis use. Okay, so treatment as far as cannabis use is concerned, it is always symptomatic. If the patient is presenting with psychotic symptoms, we need to treat them, or most of it is symptomatic. For example, if the patient does not have proper sleep, we need to treat them with benzodiazepines. There is no proper antidote for cannabis use. Okay, so this is about cannabis use related disorders. Next, let's talk about opioids. You heard this term, right? Opioid use. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So we'll talk about opioids. So you have seen this. You have seen this plant somewhere. No? Okay. So this is the plant called as Papaver somniferum. At least you heard this in your intermediate second year, I suppose, when you were studying botany and all. So Papaver somniferum is the plant from which we get opium or poppy seeds. Okay. So you must have seen children at traffic signals, right? Mothers carrying children who are drowsy always. Have you seen them? At traffic signals, mothers will be carrying children at around 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's such heavy sunlight, people will be, the 1 or 2 year old kids will be completely drowsy. So they feed them, the mothers feed them with this Papaver somniferum. Okay, or opioids. They give them these opioids so that they feel drowsy and they don't cry. So that's the reason why those children will be continuously drowsy and they will be able to tolerate such heavy sunlight. Okay, so because they are not their own children, they feed them with these things. Okay, so these are all the natural alkaloids which are obtained from Papaver somniferum. Morphine, codeine, papaverine, these are all the natural alkaloids, and from that they manufacture certain drugs like heroin, which is commonly called as brown sugar, then methadone, pethidine. These are all the synthetic drugs which are obtained from Papaver somniferum, or synthetic. These are all called as synthetic opioids. Okay, so brown sugar, we very common here. Maybe 2 or 3 days back, one from Argentina, some or from that African country was coming, and at least 2 kilos of brown sugar was found out by our airport authorities. Okay, so brown sugar is it is one of the commonly transported illegal drug. Okay, so that is heroin. Then methadone, pethidine, these are available medically also. Methadone and pethidine. Right now, methadone is completely banned in India also, so we don't get any methadone and pethidine right now. Okay, so now all the groups, all the drugs from opioids, all of them they fall under the category of illegal drugs. So this is a common picture of brown sugar. What is illegally transported. So intoxication causes, so that is heavy intake of opioids causes apathy, bradycardia, hypotension, and respiratory depression. So respiratory depression is the common symptom which can lead to death of heavy opioid intoxication. Okay, so respiratory depression and bradycardia, these are the two most common reasons why people die of opioid intoxication, of heavy opioid intoxication. Again, withdrawal can cause lacrimation, pupillary dilatation, diarrhea, insomnia, cramps, and anxiety. So pupillary dilatation, you have to remember this. Even cocaine use can cause pupillary dilatation. Even those people, if you see any organophosphorus compound use also, those people in the treatment of those people also, we need to know about pupillary dilatation. Okay, so opioid withdrawal can cause lacrimation, pupillary dilatation, diarrhea, insomnia, cramps, and anxiety. And as far as the treatment goes, as far as overdose is concerned, if the patient comes with heavy intoxication of opioids, naloxone and naltrexone, these are the two life-saving drugs. Naltrexone is an opioid antagonist, so we need to remember that during overdose we need to treat them with naloxone and naltrexone. Then during the detoxification phase, we can use clonidine or buprenorphine to reduce the symptoms of opioid intoxication or opioid withdrawal. As far as maintenance treatment is concerned, naltrexone or Naltima, that's the most commonly used drug for opioid maintenance therapy. This is about opioids. The next drug that we are going to talk about is cocaine. Yeah. So this scene we very commonly seen in our movies, right? So with a 1,000 rupee note or 2,000, now we don't have any 1,000 rupee note. Yeah, with 500 rupee note or 2,000 rupee note, people start inhaling a white substance, or which is divided with the ATM card, with a debit card or credit card. So that is what is called as cocaine. Okay, so people take cocaine in different ways. So the common term that is used for cocaine is crack. So peddlers, they use this word called as crack for cocaine. Cocaine is one drug which can be taken in any form. It is available as tablets. It is available as powder to inhale. It is available as injection also. Okay, so these are all the different ways in which this cocaine can be taken. Again, intoxication can lead to tachycardia and grandiosity. So people feel very great about themselves. It is next stage to euphoria. Okay, so you see so many people who commit crimes during cannabis use also. And withdrawal symptoms are agitation, depression, anxiety, and hyperphagia. Even in cannabis intoxication, people eat more, and in cocaine withdrawal, people eat more. That is, hyperphagia is there in cannabis intoxication, and cocaine withdrawal, it can lead to hyperphagia. Okay. Again, as far as proper treatment is concerned, overdose, it is tough to treat. Definitely, the only treatment is just to sedate the patient. We give them diazepam, and proper oxygenation is required to prevent hypoxia, and symptomatic management is done as far as cocaine withdrawal is also concerned, and overdose is also concerned. After that, we have seen inhalants. I think this is also a very common scenario. If you closely observe those people who carry garbage and all, who most commonly lower socioeconomic strata people, they have the habit of taking inhalants. Okay, so the most commonly used inhalants are petrol, glue, whiteners, and paints and eraser fluids. So if you regularly see news, street children, glue or whitener, they pour this on a kerchief and then they keep inhaling that. Okay, so these are the common inhalants which people use. Okay, these most commonly seen in people of lower socioeconomic strata, and even this is very difficult to treat. People, they become, I don't say that people become psychotic, but the withdrawal symptoms are very common with inhalant substance use also. Okay, so this is about inhalant substance use. Then you need to know about this drug called as flunitrazepam. Flunitrazepam is available as a drug called as Rohypnol. Okay, so why we are emphasizing this drug is this is a drug which is very commonly used in pubs or in any page 3 parties to rape women. Okay, so this is a drug which is which is available as 1 milligram tablet. It is completely dissolvable in any juice. So the typical property of this drug is once you take this drug, you have amnesia for further events. That is, even if a woman gets raped, she does not know that she was raped after taking this drug. Okay, so this being extremely widely used in page 3 parties, so it is always advisable not to take any drink which is offered by any stranger. Again, I insist, do not, if you are going to any parties, do not take any drink which is offered by any stranger. Okay, not even your friend. Okay, so these drug, this is the drug that is flunitrazepam. Okay, this is commonly called as date rape drug also. So people who go for date, okay, so boys mix up this drug with to the girls, and then there is some kind of physical activity. Okay, so the problematic thing is they don't know that they have been physically abused. Okay, so be careful. That's the reason why I'm insisting on this drug, flunitrazepam. Okay, so these are all the other psychoactive substances apart from alcohol which we need to be aware of. Thank you. So we'll end the session for today.